beginning of the stream. I know. Hold on. Gimbal's going to come online. It's going to happen. There we go. Good job, Gimbal. We were on Instagram looking at things. I'm going to put the phone over here for a sec, see if this works. We'll robot arm this thing for a couple of secs, and then we'll get into actually doing some things outside. It took a couple of seconds, moved all of the gear we'll need. I got snips on my pocket. I got flowers next to me. Is good. Rosa, roses. Let's chat for a second, shall we? The rose. There's too much gap over there. I mean, just what kind of visual producer am I if I can't get that right? There we go. So, I should have really done the framing probably first. It feels like this was a rookie Twitch streamer mistake on my part. I apologize in advance. Now I'll look cool and chill. So, Rosa, the rose. I always love roses. Like every time I ever saw a rose, it definitely stopped me. I think the fragrance of good roses, the way I experience smelling flowers, rhododendron loderi is number one. It's a very specific number one, just remember. Number two, lilium. Number three, rosa. Roses, every time. I gotta, Lala has entered the chat. Oh my God. Lala's using technology. She's not just using her phone for emails. I can't believe it. So, roses have always meant something to me. I always wanted to have them in a garden. I grew up with a small, shitty rose plant outside of my parents' house. There were some kind of weird bugs on it. It was a Florida bug. I was like 5, so I wasn't so botanically gifted back then. Then I was just more like gifted. People hadn't really zeroed in on what the superpower was. They were just like, he's got a superpower. We're gonna put him over there with the other kids who seem like we don't know what they're up to either. But roses were one of the first things I think I actually noticed as a kid with plants. Roses and citrus. Clearly, I still love both because I surround myself with citrus and roses. Or whenever I meet a person named Rose, I ask them to marry me. That can get awkward. I have had a couple of waitresses whose names were Rose, and I may be married to those people in those states, but I'm a states' rights person. That's a complete joke, people. Don't go too seriously ever with any of this. Roses mean something to me. They've always spoken to me, but what I did know when I got into gardening was this reputation of difficult. Roses aren't difficult, we are. That's the truth. We are. We want to grow plants that really aren't from these areas. Rosa, the ones we grow, this is just not their vibe. They're from coastal, temperate areas or elevations where humidity is lower. They're just not humidity people. You know how this is. Maybe you're one of these folks. Maybe you move out to Arizona one day and you're like, heat had never bothered me, but the humidity, that's who roses are. And in fact, that is why they're so successfully grown in Arizona. When I talk about plants, I am always trying to use my professional knowledge with them and bring it into a home gardening kind of thinking, idealism that is useful for you. Some of it's useful for me. But roses have been just a beast for people. I get it. It's because we're not approaching them as like a plant. We're approaching them with this word that we've all grown to know called roses. And it invokes both great passion, but I do think it also invokes great fear in people. So I wanted to take a second here at the beginning just to give you a little framework for how I see this shit. I see roses as a vigorous, woody stemmed plant that produces flowers. it produces flowers at the end of its canes, typically terminal stems, and then it will also produce flower stems from any of its strong lateral canes or stems that come off of a central cane. And what you're trying to do is encourage that a lot. You're trying, if you really want to make roses flower intensely, is instead of getting a stem that just produces a poof at the end, you're trying to produce lots of those stems that all produce poof magic moments called flowers at the end of each stem. Getting to that is, not that hard. It's usually about more aggressive pruning than less aggressive pruning. And it typically is just being brave as shit. I always say this, when we get into pruning talk, it's going to be the same thing every time. It is about bravery. Grab it and go. The worst fucking thing that could happen to you today after I watch this that has to do with this subject is you have to buy a new rose. That is it. You will be $40 poorer if you kill a rose. That is all you're ever going to be out. Stop carrying the psychology of fear about something you love. The psychology of fear with plants is big, and getting over it can be challenging. But pruning is where you can earn that feeling. You can get that confidence. And bravery and confidence lead to better gardening. But it's a journey to get there. We're gonna go out, it's hot. I do have a fair amount of tools, because when you garden, you do have tools. Just like if you were a plumber, or just like if you're an engineer, or whatever you are, a musician, whatever a person is, you do have many times tools. Well, today we'll have tools. None of them are super specific. There's a couple of preferences that I have. I wouldn't say any of these are like the tools to buy. It's just how I like to work around this particular gig. Doing jobs in the garden can be pretty specific, so I've got a little bit of a job that we're looking to do, so I zero the tools down. Today's job is, let's prune this climbing rose for two things. Let's set it up to be attached to the pole, which it's not at the moment, so we can do that. And I think this is going to be valuable because this is actually probably more what people experience. The questions I often get about plants go like this. I've already got a problem, Steve, help. So this is sort of a problem plant. It's already out of place. It's gotten a little big. It's fallen away from its pole. I didn't prune and train it over the course of the last 2 years. So it's just a haphazard, very big, very healthy, generous gardener rose. So we're in pretty good shape. The two big things, health and what it can do, are both going well. So our job today is just to work with this plant. We don't want it to be stressed. We want to set it up to climb this pole maybe a little bit more effectively than it is now, which it isn't, and then leave it to be set up to bloom strongly in the fall. I'll go over all the theory of why we summer prune as I do it. If anybody that's on here, I don't know how many people join us over here on Twitch, over on Insta, it seems like we get a good initial pop. Twitch, I have no idea. There's a number in the corner. I don't know what it means. I just stopped paying attention to all of these numbers. But if you're on here with me and you're in chat, make sure, ask a couple of questions. If you got anything. Today is the day to ask questions about rose pruning. That is also, if you guys could do me a favor, and this is something that hasn't gone down too well over the years, but as I'm building this garden, I don't have time, quite honestly, to jump around and do custom content for people. That's just not where I'm at with things any longer. So if you see me doing these things with roses, take some time as you hear me talk today and think about it. Hey, is there any shit you want to know about roses? If there's anything you do, this is the time to do it, because I'm out there. I got every tool we need to work with a rose we're right by a rose that needs to be worked on. It's the perfect day to get your rose questions out there. So if you got them, take time, put them in the chat. I will get to it. If I don't see it immediately, I'll take some time. Speaking of that, the other thing I'd like to do is, because of the phone heating up so frequently in the last week or two, and I don't want us to be doing this and then lose y'all to Tim Cook not being able to insulate a phone properly, I'm going to take a couple of breaks every now and then, bring us back over to the shade. If y'all can help remind me, that'll be cool too. Because sometimes your boy gets going with the things and we're talking and we're gardening, and next thing you know, 4 hours has gone by, the phone is dead. I may not be doing that well either, and y'all are like, what happened to Steve? So if that does begin to happen, just a little shout out. Hey Steve, why don't we take a break or something? How's the shade, Steve? Look out for me when I'm doing these streams, okay? You guys are part of this team, Natchez Glen. We're building one of the great gardens of the world. We're about to go prune a rose. Let's go. Just gonna go out the back door. Here we go. Right to it. This morning we're not even waiting for anything. Just straight up out the back door. Here we go. Maybe we get the tractor and the mower at some point. But that'll be a little bit after we do some of this initial stage of being. All right, the home of roses previous, and now the home of roses in the ground, but they're sort of there. These poles had Generous Gardener and Graham Thomas up them. This is the Generous Gardener that we're gonna get to here in a sec. We'll prune. It's a really healthy plant. We're not gonna have too many problems. There's some really, really thick canes at the base. That might take some artful maneuvering, but it's not that bad. It's a really nice, healthy plant. So regardless of what I do, I've got a couple of Generous Gardeners here. I could move a couple. I don't know if I want to do all Generous Gardener down this walkway. I could obviously add, but we'll see. But that's the plant we're gonna work on. Really well set up. Graham Stewart Thomas was the other rose that was out here. I had done Generous Gardener, Graham Stewart, Generous Gardener, Graham Stewart. Graham Stewart does not do well. I love Graham Stewart Thomas as a human, but the rose, not so great here in Tennessee. All right, so let's go over a couple of things here. Number one, let's just do a quick tool check. In my pocket, pretty much like you will see me with at every time this year, I got these, which are the little needle nose snips. These are very strong for being small. I can almost cut things, way bigger than my thumb with these pretty easily. These are by ARS. I don't think brands matter on any of this. It's just concepts. So this one, what's up, Heidi? These are just your standard secateurs. I try to use slightly cheaper shit when I'm doing these gigs. I can't tell you, rosewood is actually very hard. Like, you can get messed up by some rosewood. Your tools, I personally feel, for me, I decided about 10 years ago, I had some tools that were just like abuse tools. They're not bad quality, they're just built bluntly. They are not like delicate tools. And then those I use for jobs like these. The jobs where I'm really going in and doing detail things, like in the front border with perennial work, things like that, I'll bring out some of the others. But for now, it's just anything sharp and decently built works. I do have the Felcos out just in case I want to do something a little bit more specific. I have to say this, because you should wear these if you're around this kind of stuff. I probably won't, so do what I say, not what I do. I do have some really strong jute here, just in case. The other thing I always bring with me around big roses is big zip ties. As cute as the jute is, and I'm not good at tying knots. If I was a knot tying person, I probably wouldn't need the zips. But I like the zip ties. It allows me just to quickly get things onto the pole and then get them out of my way. That's the biggest issue with working with climbers, is you're literally under attack sometimes by big canes that are swinging. So being able to get them off of you and onto whatever and keep them out is a good thing. Then, last but not least, and this is in my opinion for older roses, it's a must, is some type of anvil pruners. If you don't have them, you should probably invest if you're going to grow roses. Long handle is the key. Reaching in, not grabbing. Also, I would encourage everybody to grab gloves. I am not going to do this with gloves because we are going to go slow. Go slow. Go slow. I know. I never go slow. Steve is telling me to go slow doing something. Holy shit, what day is this? Go slow doing roses. It's thorny out here, and ain't nothing worse than a thorny rose. It's a situation. So go slow and take your time. For me, not wearing gloves will occasionally make me go slow. Wearing gloves gives me the option. I have long gauntlet gloves that if I'm working around really shrubby roses, I would. These are not too bad actually even to do. So it's not going to be a bad thing, but protect yourself, wear anything that you need to with that. The other thing that I did forget was the little mechanical saw. So we'll go grab that together. Just one of these cheap battery powered ones, about 40 bucks on Jeff Bezos land. I would encourage you to grab one of these. If you don't have one, get one if you garden. They're not well built, they're sort of shitty, and they'll probably break a lot, but they are better than hand saws. Hand saws are an art, and hand saws can hurt, and so can the other ones, but I like this methodology better. Just my own personal preference. I've used both, and I find this just to be a little quicker. I think using a handsaw around roses is always tough because of the pull motion, and you're caught around thorns, and you're like, can be tough. So these little electric saws have been a really nice invention, and the price is so cheap now, but they're worth doing. The other thing, this is a hognose shovel or a channel shovel, sometimes it'll be referred to as. It's very thin and long. I love these around roses, like this kind of situation. We're trying to do this somewhat delicately. There might be a need to pop a root out of the ground of a weed. There might be the need to pop the rose out of the ground sometimes and reset it. This kind of style shovel allows that to happen. And again, it's not a tool that you work fast with. It's a tool that you work delicately with. Gardening has a tactile component to it that I've always referred to as firm but gentle. Gardening has a lot of motions where you need to get the plant. You do. You can't be timid. But you also do have to respect the plant and know that it's fragile. And gardening with these type tools, it helps. It helps those moments because we can get what we need done, but we also protect the plant. Let's get over here and just examine what we're looking at. We'll also go grab that handsaw as we head over. How's everybody's morning going? Chat, how we all doing? It's a little more on the warm side today. Yesterday, very solid. Today, a little more humid. I'm obviously sore. We're coming off of about 40 hours of work in the last 3 days or so. 10, 12-hour days each. So we're right on that fight. Terrible. Heidi, I gotta be honest with you, girl. There's been a weird week in the universe for me personally, and I think I've heard a lot of people feel that way. Now, my mom, who is an astrology type person, would probably say something about Mercury being in retrograde or something like that. Who knows, Hyde? You know what I'm saying, girl? Sometimes I'm like, I give up. I'm like, sure, I'll just land on that like mom did. It's astrology. I'll be fine. I'm not that complicated with all of these things. Oh, that'd be awesome. We're all connected. We should do that one day, everybody. Once we really get going here, like next year, I think we should do these kind of things. Do prune alongs, and we do the watch alongs. That's fun. But when we start doing the merch, a lot of people have the same plants, right? Which I think is going to be a lot of fun. So we'll do Fox Planiculata Gina, as an example. Then everybody buys merch, and then what's happening? We're all doing it together. That'll be so much fucking fun. Sorry, that'll be so much fun, everybody. Because we'll all literally be doing it together, because it will be pretty damn close. Even our friends like Joe up in Minnesota, people like that, we'll be surprised. That will be very, I think, enlightening to some of us. If you haven't gardened in other parts of the world or haven't seen a lot of them, it's not as different sometimes. The folks in Minnesota are pruning 17 days after I am, 24 days. It's not crazy different. So we'll get to see some of that too. Here's our rows. First thing I do is I'm looking for green or brown, right? Brown, brown, green, brown. Now, let's sort out the good green from the bad green. Good green. This is a rose. Yay! Good healthy green. Looking great. This is a good rose. I'm trying to get through it. This is Acer negundo, or Acer pseudoplantis actually in this case. This is Acer pseudoplantis, Norway maple. So we got to get that out of there. Little seedling has grown up to there. This is our other cane that's looking pretty good, but we got a lot of brown dieback here. A lot of brown dieback over there, a lot of brown dieback there, a lot of root zone issues that we'll clean up. Also need to grab the long handle Dutch hoe, the short hand hoe. We need that too. So we need somebody take notes. We need the Dutch hand hoe, and we also need the little battery powered handsaw. Those two should be the last things we need. And of course, I'll probably grab my hand trowel too, because I really shouldn't leave any position. I'm probably gonna just start walking around with a hand trowel. I mean, it will be a look. If I adopt the look, I'll have to get like a cool holster or something. I'll put the trowel in it. It'll be very like, you know, little Leia. I'm gonna buy one of the Disney approved little Leia blaster holsters that clearly they wanna sell, and I'm just gonna put a hand trowel in it. And they're gonna be like, sir, you forgot your blaster. I'm like, I didn't buy it for the blaster. Bought it for the holster. Gonna put my own trowel in it. They'll be like, that's not a trowel holster, it's a blaster holster. Liars, trowel holster. Silly gooses. Everything is doing pretty well though. There is some heat stress though. We are at that time of year. If you're ever out in your garden, just don't worry about it. What's up, Kendall? How you doing? Good to see you again. Let's grab these two and we'll get to this. Yeah, like Nepeta subsessilis, which is sort of a moisture plant. You know, it's a little like, eek, why is it so hot? Did I leave it inside? There's the handle hoe. We need this. We need, oh, let's grab this. You guys want to get the Cobra hoe? I'm doing great, Kendall. I'm trying. You know, I'm trying. It's a difficult day in some ways, and then I'm gardening in other ways. So complicated. Buddy, what are you doing? Boods is crazy. Buds, what are you doing, man? Cobra, long handle. And then, last but not least, buddy, we get it, man. I know. Would you like to say hello to the people? There we go. Oh, they're easy, Kendall. These are all like cactus and succulents. They get watered once a year. Literally. Most of the time, people are killing houseplants with love. Here, have water. I'm from the desert. Here, have water. Excuse me, I'm from the desert. Here, have water. I'm dead now because I was saying I was from the desert and it didn't seem like anyone was listening. Excuse me. We lose more plants that way. Say hi, buds. What's up, bud? Crazy buddy eyes going a little bit there. Can we get that it? Okay, you good. He got that hot, you could hear that ASMR though, right? I mean, he was a little purry there. We can get it. Here, buds, purrs. Oh yeah. Buddy's living, oh, I saw a snake. Oh, by the way, there's a snake. I should have probably led with this. There is a snake in the water feature. It's eating frogs. As we go by, there might be a National Geographic moment, okay? right? Oh, he don't. He's great, Kendall. He's perfect. He's why he's the #1 stunner cat. Some cats, you don't know what they're gonna do. They're gonna go all over the place. Maybe they're gonna knock your plants over. Buds, he don't care. He's like, it's okay. He just chills, very chills. Yeah, he is. And I mean, I do curse at him in Italian quite a bit. It's very helpful. He tries to come into the kitchen restaurant space, and I just say, "Disgracia, the gatto, go." And he seems to never be anxious. But the Italian does seem to work. I mean, it's not even like real Italian, it's like fake faux Italian. But it's the energy, I think. Dylan, my guy, what's up? I think it's the energy of it, Kendall. He's like, shit. Or maybe his buddy is Italian. You are? What? That's it? Cliffhanger? You look so sleepy, dude. Dude, like, I mean, how do you sleep only and always look sleepy? You're like perpetual sleepy. It's awesome. Like being a cat, like you're just allowed to be perpetually sleepy. I mean, that is awesome. Who doesn't want to be that? You're just perpetually like, what? And nobody judges or anything. Let's go. Buddy, you got the ship? You gonna take care of everything while I'm gone? You feeling good? Okay. Make sure nobody does anything weird. Okay. Take care of everything. Make sure to water the plants. Okay. Have fun. Also, Dahlia showed up this week. Dahlia's got here. Speaking of my girl Heidi in the chat, my guy Dylan in the chat, guess who might be the holder of a lot of geraniums right now? Guess who might have 100 or so geraniums right over where we just walked by? Me. So if y'all want to come down and get some geraniums, or up, I guess. When you grow up in Florida, you get used to saying down, because there's not much more down in the continental United States. So you're pretty much always saying down. So you grow up that way and you stay there forever. I could live in Vermont and I'd be like, you guys can come down here. And the people would be like, dude, we live in like, Texas. It's not down. Damn, so bad at this. Hand tools acquired. Yeah, it's gonna be a good job. I'm gonna leave these over here, park them. We got all of this stuff. We should probably mow too. Oh yes, let's mow as well. I mean, if we're gonna do it, let's just do it. Oh, geraniums for sure. Oh, big geranium energy today. I mean, when the geraniums showed up, they looked so good. I got Raven, which is the real dark one. It's like plum purple blacky darks. Very good, early season. It's like geranium pratense. And then the other one is Ann Thompson, and Ann is more like blue perps. So pretty nice. But more late season, like classic geranium habit, more spring, summer with like perpetual bloom throughout the year. Same kind of breeding as Roseanne, which I always want to call Roxanne because of sting. In my case, it's not as much sting as it is when the tallest man on earth performed Roxanne for sting. Because for all of you that don't know this, there is some complicated lineage on some of the Police songs in particular. You know, Every Breath You Take, even Roxanne, not to be confused with the geranium Roseanne. It's complicated, the lyrics. You know, you really don't want to listen to them much. Oh, well, Dylan, you might have, listen, Dylan has been in the lab. I don't know if y'all knew where Dylan was. Heidi was in Montana. Dylan was in the lab. I could tell. That's what was happening. While you guys were in those adventures, guess who went on an Iris and Sada adventure and literally found a person who has a plant that blooms for 200 days? I mean, 200 days, the man said, and sounded sort of disappointed. So I don't think that he was meaning like it just blooms for like close to 200. I believe he's like, yeah, it's really great and fantastic for 200, but I wish it would have been 250. I was like, we're gonna have a flowering iris here that blooms for 200 days. I'm deep in these worlds. I'm so deep, people. You guys don't even know. I can't even see the light sometimes. I'm so far. It's like you're so far in it, you can't even see past it. That's how far in the gardening universe I am. I'm just in it. All my thoughts are consumed with it. You know, it's a whole thing. All right, so let's get into this. We got our tools, we got our rows, we know our first thing. I would like to go ahead and mow this bitch down to the ground. Burn them up, okay? Because it's to clear our workspace. And if we mow, we can do that quickly. And if we don't mow, it has to be done with a hand hoe. You know? And hoeing, it's fun. Hoeing is fun until it's not. Hoeing. Fun until it's not. Let's mow instead. Then we hoe. Mow, hoe, prune. The humidity is lifting. Praise be. The humidity always lifts at the Glen around like 11-y, right in that ballpark, because we're low. So the air does actually lift slightly above me, which is great. The dew wasn't super bad today either, so I knew it'd sort of burn off in a hurry. I'm gonna leave you all by this rose. I'm gonna leave you by the canes, and while you're here looking at these canes, just start taking a look. Brown versus green. Green, green, brown, 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 green, brown, green, brown. Look at those colors, right? That's it. How do you prune roses? Well, can you determine the difference between the color green and the color brown? Well, I'm glad you can, because if you can tell the difference between the colors brown and green, you could be successfully on your way to a career in rose pruning. Yes, that's right. A fast-paced career in rose pruning. All day long, you'll be outside pruning Rosa chepicus, better known as knockout roses. Incoming Honda mower. Oh, I should get the bag. Hold on, we're actually gonna be really good with all of this. Son of a bitch. That's the problem too, y'all. You know, when you know too much, I mean, don't get too excited, because then it just gives you more stuff to worry about. You're like, oh, geez, the right thing to do here is to get the bag. Oh, the right thing here is to do this. And then you're like, oh, golly, do I have to do this every time? In the bag. If we don't grab the bag, the material will just go out on the ground. It'll make a bit of a, who wants that? So we'll grab the catch bag, and it'll make our life easier. Hope we find that snake. Y'all want to see a snake? Chat, how do you feel? Snake-wise. I mean, I'm gonna do it because it's good content, but how do y'all feel? You know, what happens if just right here on the stream, giant ass snake sightings? That could totally happen. Okay, rolled up with the Honda. Now you know it means business. I mean, we're rolling up with the Honda and stuff. When this starts going down, that's when you know it's about to get serious. All right, so we got this really huge cane over here. It is already sort of at a place it could actually be trained. So I have to think about this. I need to get this off the ground, essentially. I'll put y'all down here for a sec. Remind me to take a break, y'all, so the phone don't explode. It'd be the worst thing ever if the phone exploded. Well, I mean, it would be the worst thing ever, but it would be bad for this particular stream. I mean, I think that's undeniable. Roses need to be just sort of got into a place where they can be got. I am gonna take down those big canes, and what you're gonna see me do pretty consistently throughout this entire moment is I walk around these son of bitches about 47 times. If I'm gonna prune and I'm actually gonna do a good job, just like in the world of carpentry, where they say like masculine things like measure twice, cut 3 times. They say a lot of masculine things in carpentry. This is similar to that moment. So if you're looking for that real like masculine energy, you know, very like, oh yeah, you measure shit and then you make cuts and things, but you want to do it as precisely and controlling as you can, this is your day. This is, you get to flex all that energy. You get to be like, oh yeah, okay, everybody calm down, calm down, calm down, it's gonna be fine. We just have to get the correct settings for this instrument, and I'm the expert of instruments. Today, we get to just walk and look. What I'm currently looking at is how many of these canes are singular, so meaning this long growth that's coming off that we're sort of seeing spilling, this growth. How much of it is one cane that's just already to the ground, and how much of it is like this one, where this, and chat, you guys tell me if I need to move in, okay? Because I can't see the screen and shit. This cane that I'm pulling could actually go this way, and we could bring it up this. I think that is the move here. So we want to cut this, but we don't want to cut it so much that we don't have anything to work with. But we do want to cut back here, just to be able to make it manageable, and then we'll also be able to take these pieces of growth like this and actually attach it to the top of the pole. So that's what I'm looking for, is just those quick decisions. I'll grab y'all and I'm going to show you what I'm looking at. I think that'll help. Then I'll make some cuts, and we're just going to make those first cuts that get us into this way of thinking. Grab the tools from over here to make cuts. It's not that bad. Again, Generous Gardener, very good rows. Of all of the David Austin climbers, of the ones I grew, it is the one I would recommend. I would not recommend any others. Just say that. You can ask me about the others, but I can't recommend them. The only climber I can recommend is Generous Gardener. Every other one has, in my personal experience, had issues that were severe enough where I would not garden with them. Again, here. Doesn't mean they couldn't be gardened with, doesn't mean they can't be good, just I wouldn't. Here. That's all. Tools. Here is the flip. Flip. So there's the pole, OVS. There is that really big cane that we're looking at. Goes all the way down to the base of the plant. So past the pole and back into the ground. That cane goes all the way up to here. Just do it quick. Use the robot arm, I think. This goes already about 6-7 feet. I mean, if we bend this thing all the way, we're gonna get really good coverage on this. But a lot of this growth towards the tip of it, like out here, this growth, like out to here, I would cut some of this anyways when we go to train it, and I'll cut some of this anyways when we go to train it, and down there as well. So what I'm gonna do is just get in there, start making those cuts. I'm gonna make them anyways, and by taking some of this, it's gonna make it way easier to attach to the pole and just to do the rest of the work, okay? So I'm gonna flip you guys around again. I'm gonna try to tilt this preemptively. There we go. I'm gonna put us sort of in the shade here, I think. I will get that right one day. So here we are. I'm gonna grab the secateurs. In this case, these are gonna be good enough to get this job done. Come up to this cane over here, there's a little bit of dead wood, just taking that off, not even thinking about it. Dead wood always goes. Never think about it, just do it. A little bit of dead wood down here, take this whole thing off. That's gonna go. Make a little pile behind us. I'm gonna take the tips off of all of this. I'm gonna be a little aggressive down here at the base, even a little more so, taking about 2-3 feet of growth off of this cane. So I just took this off. Just took that much off. This is growth that's getting pruned anyways. It's exposed to the sun, getting beat up quite a bit already. You can even see down here, there's another large stem that's coming off this. And see what happened? It just browned out anyways. Same vibe. Gonna come all the way back even a little further on this. See how it's up now? You guys see that? How it's all up now, above me. We're getting towards the pole. We're bringing all the weight from holding it down so we can get it to get up. All that weight is just gonna make it hard on us and be in our way. So those cuts, regardless of if that growth is good, bad, it don't matter. That's physics decisions. Anything else? It's off the ground pretty decent. There's a completely dead cane here. I'm just gonna take that. Just dead wood to the highest order, gray. When you go gray, it's real bad. Brown is like in the process to get to gray. And then there's brown that's like calloused and with green, and then there's just dead. A couple more cuts here. A lot of dead growth just coming out right now. And then I'm gonna grab the mower and we're gonna do that process. If you're in the business like I am today of not wearing gloves, this is how I do it. I literally just use them like tweezers and we'll just move big canes. You make your cuts very, 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 very low on the plant. So because of that, you've got these big pieces to move. It's not a lot of small little pieces. Small little pieces days, being able to wear gloves is probably always the move. So this cane is good. I'm trying just to get where I can get the mower in here a little bit easier. I see one of these little Acer Negundos. I'm just gonna weed that out by cutting it. We'll deal with the base of it here in a sec. Just trying to make it comfortable for me to get in here. That is the toughest thing. I had an opportunity to work around a couple of really old huge roses a couple of times, and I can tell you, I think we spent probably about 3 hours just getting it to be workable, just cutting the big growth off. It was dangerous to us, trying to get plants in a position to work with. My friends Heidi and Dylan, they came over, and I wanted to give them some of the roses I was taking out of here. And while we were doing it, you know, I'm so used to being around these things. I get hit all the time. I get cut all the time because I've just had these experiences with plants. You know, I'm used to saying, okay, first thing we got to do is make it 5% safer than it is now. There's a huge cane over here that we could think about also. We'll get to this process. This is a little bit of a, it's really thick, it's really big, it looks impressive. You know, if you took a picture and you slid into somebody's DMs with this cane, they would be rather impressed. However, it's a pretty shitty cane ultimately. It's just got size, it's not doing much else. So we do have to look at that one here in a moment. But we've got really good young canes, which is actually more important. This plant's got probably this really good one here that we're gonna use that's right by me. This is gonna be like the main older cane that helps support the plant. Then though, there are 3 pretty sizable young canes that are coming directly from the base. And I'll take us over there so we can see all this. I'm looking at it for myself as well as talking out loud with you guys about it. So my thought process is, I know I wanna hold this cane because this is an old one, it's still very viable, it's producing a lot of good growth. It is a good cane to keep. But I also do need to get some new canes. The issue is with a climber, it's literally where they're at physically. You know, can you bend them to get them back on the pole? Because if not, that shit don't matter, right? It's like 6 feet over there, the cane, and you're like, damn, I don't have an engineering degree. That is what we don't want to get into. So we are going to have to, I think, actually prune a couple of the big canes off just to make it so we can prune it and get it really nice. It's going to take about an hour and a half, by the way, in total. If you guys are looking for a ballpark, this is about how long it takes to do this well. I'd say each older rose probably takes about an hour, hour and a half to reset like this. So let's go ahead. I'm pretty good with where I think we're at now to get us to that mowing that I wanted to be able to do. That'll be easier for me. I won't have to worry about where my feet are at and getting like tripped by something or, you know, canes or anything like that messing me up. So I'm gonna move all the tools. I'm gonna move you guys back a little bit. My guy Maka Waka, okay, now he does Maka walks, you know, whatever that is, but Maka told me the other day that he thinks I should be like, you know, using the tractor and mowing grass. So people, you're about to hear a lawnmower. I know, it's Lawnmower ASMR, brought to you by Natchez Glen. Gonna move you all back here, just into the shade for a second even, to help the phone out. Go over here. You guys rest. I'm gonna mow, okay? I'm gonna mow, y'all stay over here. So we're gonna put the mower on the bag attachment, put the bag on, and then I also get to catch all of the debris, which is nice. And then when I'm done with it, I'll do the same thing. I don't use a lawnmower like a lawnmower. I use a lawnmower like a vacuum. And for me, that's where a lot of the biggest value in the tool comes from. If this thing just cut grass, I think I would have mixed experiences with it. I don't think I would like it that much. But the fact that it is a vacuum and cleans up my work when I'm done, damn, that's straight fire. Start off at like the number 3 attachment, or height setting rather. I'm gonna start at 3, do a couple of passes, then we're gonna go down to like 2. We may even go below that, we'll see where we're at. Okay, there's that first pass, just cutting it down, right? Just making it a little easier to work. And now I'm gonna do that same thing, but I'm gonna set it a little bit lower. Also, by the way, for me personally, when I'm working with roses, I don't like there to be much else by me because you get a little panicky, at least I do. Then I'm getting hit by a rose. Whenever anything touches you, you're like, it's a little PTSD in me probably, but you know, hey, I'd rather deal with that. Let's go set it down to a 2 height deck and mow. Do that. We may even go to 1.5 over here and really get it just mowed low. Embarrassing, Honda. All right, so we're pretty nicely clean over here. We're just making a couple of passes just to get it nice and easy for me. Same thing you should do. Make your workspace like semi-approachable. Underneath the shade and up. So now we're sort of at this stage where we've looked at what we're gonna do. You know what I'm saying? Now we're good. Oh, it's Maka magic. He just walks around. I don't even know what Maka walks. I think he's seeing Vision Quest. We may not even be actually in the street, by the way, when Maka Waka streams. It might be some kind of like astral projection situation. Just saying. Shade. So now we prep the zone. Now we need to just get that ground clear. The reason this portion of it, which seems a little like, boy, that's a lot of effort, right? One of those things is seeing where everything is happening. Seeing the base, seeing where the cane is producing, really being able to experience the plant. So going quickly with these is always for shit. You know, you never really want to be in a position like that. You always want to be, hey, this is what I'm working with. Same in the garden. If I have an area that I'm like really seriously working in, always prep, right? And however long the prep takes, it takes. I don't know. Sometimes you're around a rose, it's like 7 years old, and sometimes you're around a rose, it's like 7 hours old. So your approach should always be different. Oh, I gotta say, y'all, Natchez Glen might be straight fire. I said it. I said it. I said it. Straight fire. Am I strongly considering saying next spring that the long border in the front might be one of the finest long borders in the southern United States I'm willing to make the claim of? Yes. Will I almost be making some other big, bold proclamations next year? Yes. How are we doing all of this? Y'all helping me. This stuff needs both, we need all the motivation. That's why we got to support creative people. Little story I just want to share with everybody quickly, then we're going to get back to rose pruning. I'm a deep, deep, deep hockey fan. I think I've shared on these streams before that I used to cover hockey professionally. It was one of my real first loves and joys, and it really showed me a world that I didn't know existed where people made money and actually did decent in the world. And I was like, doesn't everybody not have air conditioning and is real poor? I mean, it was a thing, man. But what I got to experience there was really meaningful to me. Recently, a person I know who creates a lot of content put out a piece of content with like an ad in the front, just sort of saying, hey, everybody, here's a sponsor. And somebody sort of talked shit about it. People, we need to support the people we love in what they're doing, just like you did everywhere in your life. The internet is going to have a transition here, I feel, like where we're going to learn that. And that's what people are doing here on Twitch and so many places. So the fact you're all on here supporting me means the world to me. And that's what it needs. If we want to support talented, creative people, if we want to see people live their dreams, we want to live our dreams, we are going to need support. So the fact that everybody's on here with me always means a ton. And I am really happy and proud with where we're at today, with what's going on here in the garden. So thanks to everybody. Really means a lot. In this work that we're doing, it is the kind of like detail work that separates, you know, like a plant somebody throws in the ground from like a gardener's plant. And I do believe that deeply. The work we're gonna do here with Generous Gardener will set it up not just for like 6 months. This is literally like a plant that if we do this right today and we take the time and where the age of the plant is, it's in there about 3 years. It's like a 2019 planting. It could be good for the next 4 or 5 years like this. Even if I'm shitty with it, right? The rest of the time, like today is the last time my hands maybe touch it for at least 2 years, let's say, I think we'd be good. And we might even get close to 3 years if the, you know, if the rope holds and all that shit. But what we're doing will really help the plant long term, so we won't have to come back to it so frequently. What I've always experienced with plants is, and this is the truth in the nursery industry, if you come up to the plant and you don't do the work in a really like meaningful, thoughtful way, and you do it sort of like haphazard, where you don't know what you're doing and you just sort of fuck around with it, you end up having to come back to it anyways, typically, and you're literally wasting more time. So I think going a little slower and a more thoughtful way in gardening always pays off. And in pruning jobs, especially with slightly older plants, always pays off even longer. I'll do an hour and a half of work today to avoid 2 hours of work every year for the next 5 years. Shit, yeah. Hour and a half today versus 10. I got too much shit to do, people. I mean, I got gardens to build. I don't have roses to baby. Let's get over there and look at it. I also want to grab one of the Dutch long handle hose and a finishing rake and a steel rake as well. We'll go get those 3 tools on a walk towards the front. It'll also give us an opportunity to see if there's a snake. Somebody clip it, okay? The other day I was saying clip it. I don't know how to clip it. I heard somebody on a stream tell someone to clip it, and they clipped it. So I don't know who that person is, but we need that person. Chat, let's find a person. We need somebody who's going to be in charge of clipping. Who is a clipper? Anybody? Damn. I was like, clip. Were they clipping? I'm not even sure what they're talking about, but I know it's supposed to be good. I know when somebody says clip it, it means like, yay, Discord I'm on now. I mean, I don't even know what that is. I mean, I know it's like a communication serving apparatus. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's what I'm saying, Dylan. How do these people find these people? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you get people that are so supportive that they're like, yeah, I'm gonna clip that and post it? I mean, how do I make these friends? I mean, what is going on? You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. It's awesome. Maybe they're just saying it. It's a robot. It's like one of these. You can't even tell. Maybe you're talking, maybe it's a robot clipping it. We don't know. Could be voice commands. We're living in the future, y'all. The future. It's here. I'm gonna go over here, grab these. Always have a couple of rakes, oh, I forgot to look for the snake. You in there still? Oh, it's a chipmunk. You are stupid. Chipmunk. Did you not smell the snake? With a snake, got some kind of cologne on? These chipmunks, they're not that smart. I don't. Steel rakes. Didn't see the snake. It would have been exciting though. I was down for a snake sighting. I was really in it. I was like, ooh, it looks pretty good size. 4 feet-ish, I'd guess. Damn, snakes. They're good though. Don't be freaked out by snakes, okay? If you can be freaked out by snakes, but don't be like freaked out by snakes where you go get somebody and you have them killed. That's weird, you know? Just because things are weird to you doesn't mean you should kill them. I mean, that's not usually the way we should land as humans. What is that thing? I don't know, kill it! Again with this. Remember what happened the last time the aliens came and you guys killed them all? I told y'all that was a bad idea. All right, let's flip around and look at the rows real quick and do a walk. Tilt this down a little. As we look towards the base, this is the process I go through. Again, we're just gonna look at these canes and we're looking for new canes versus old canes. The new canes will be green. The old canes will be browns or grays, or if they're dead, they'll be brown, black grays and hollow. And they'll look dead. I mean, it'll be like pretty unmistakable. Dead and stuff. Very dead. As we look through here, we still got the Acer Negundo seedling. See if we can pop that out just by pulling it real quick. Probably not, just based upon where it's at. Might be able to use the trowel to loosen it. That could work. Could be a solution to that, so we gotta get that out. Here is a beautiful young cane. This cane is gorgeously healthy. Just down the stem, all the way to the basey base. Oh, baby, talk to me. I mean, look at the color on it even. Damn, look at that sexy ass cane. So we put this cane on OnlyFans. This cane is gonna get at least $4.99 a month. Damn, that's a good cane. No, I mean, that one over there is just straight trash fire, but let's get that situation here. I'm gonna flip us around and I'm gonna get down on the ground like a, y'all are supporting me, I'm supporting you by sharing things. Let's go. We are down on the ground in the woods of Natchez Glen, Roseville. All right, I'm gonna try to get you to the base here so you can see. I'm trying to see my hand, a little lower. There we go. So as I look in here, this is what I'm actually looking for. I'm looking for the dead ones and the live ones. I'm gonna grab the anvil pruners, which is the long ones. Remember how I said we're gonna need some long reach? This is when we need it, because we don't wanna get attacked by the thorns. Very quickly, on a rose like this, we can do this. I can use the very long and very sharp anvil pruners, and I can take out all of what looks brown or dead and not even really overthink it too much. I know this cane right here is our good cane. I think it's just to the outside of your screen, maybe. Can't quite tell. Y'all tell me if you can see that. That's our good cane we want to keep, that's old. This is a brown one that's bad. We'll take that. This is a good one, but it's a little bit out of the way. I'm gonna save that cane. I'm not gonna take it out. Here is the Acer Negundo, right here. I'll pull that back out. There we go. Get these dead canes that we cut gently. I will get cut by the end of this video. We all know it's happening. I mean, maybe it's intentional. Maybe that'll be the clip it moment. You know what I'm saying? You guys will be like, look at Steve just get hit in the head with the rose thorn again. And I'll play it up because I'm an entertainer. I mean, so it'll go well. It'll be fine. No one panic if it happens. Couple of dead canes there. We'll work that. Same vibe. I'm always just looking for the best angle to cut too, so there is a lot of moving. You can't really stand still and do this too effectively. And then that cane there is a good cane right there, so I don't want to take that. And you have to keep looking up. Sorry, I see that cane's hitting y'all. Bad generous gardener. Bad generous gardener. Don't hit chat. Generous gardener, don't hit chat. Generous gardener hits people in chat. That Negundo's got to go still. You're holding quite a few things hostage here, aren't you? Am I gonna have to get another cut just to get you out? Yep, let's do that. A lot of times you have to make cuts to unlock your previous cut. A little like a game of Tetris with sharp objects. So I'm just releasing some of these canes to clear this up. And what you guys should see, hopefully in your view chat, is the base of this plant is about to get cleaner and cleaner and cleaner and cleaner and cleaner. And that's the goal. Those first cuts we made to the top were just to allow us to do this. I'll also grab while I'm here the Dutch long handle, the hand hoe, and also this Cobra head hoe, which is sort of decent for these gigs, as you can get stuff out of there. So I just grabbed this, and now I'm gonna pull away a lot of what's down here, the base of the plant. Again, we want to be able to see all this. We want to get in here. We want to really make good decisions today on where this plant is going. You know, we've got 4 years on the plant. So if you were in this situation, you would have invested 4 years of time maybe. In my case, I spent about 2 years really working them. And then the last 2 years, I didn't do shit. So whatever that investment is where we're at. So we are trying to think about that a little and go, okay, what can we do here? Long handle, again, comes in handy, right? Keeps us away from the thorns. These thorns are sons of bitches. They don't discriminate. They're willing to cut anything. If that snake was over here, we'd be safe. We just use these roses. Here's the Negundo right here. I'm gonna see if I can just lift it. Maybe a little cobra hoe action. Get you guys down, I think, even a little bit more. I just need to be more aggressive with my camera movement. There we go. A little bit of pull, you can feel it. The soil's really dry because of the temperatures and everything lately. So the weeds are gonna be a little harder to pull, even these. And there we go, that's enough of it. That's enough to kill the plant, and that's all we're trying to do. The base of that's not producing any growth. If we would have just cut it, there is a chance it would just start producing new growth from there, and we come back like 2 years from now, and we're like, son of a bitch! I knew we shouldn't have just cut it that day. I actually have that in an area. There's a Picea abies, Norway spruce cultivar. And like 2 years in a row, I was just lazy as fuck when we were doing the flower farm while I was by it. You know, lazy's harsh. I apologize, people. I'm not that kind in my own description of myself. So that plant, I would walk by it, and I always know, like, hey, that's the right thing to do. But I just left it, and then the 2 years I cut it. Well, now it's got like a 7-foot arm coming out of the ground, and it looks like it's gonna be a small tree that's the start of a forest. Same thing, just pulling these out. That's what this is too. And that's what this is too. Awesome. Ah, got me. You son of a bitch. It's my fault. Should have used the long handle hoe. It was right there. I could have done it. I didn't. And then I paid the consequence. Got bit by a rose. They'll remind you. Use your tools, people. Use your tools. Get this out of the way. This is looking really nice now. We're gonna be in just a couple of seconds here to the place that I think starts to make it all come into picture. You walk up to a plant like this for the first time in your life, and it's mostly just like your eyes take a second, I think. What am I looking at? Why is this rose so crazy? It's supposed to be nice and covered in flowers. So those moments you just got to get by, and then you can actually get to work. God, it's dry. Wow. Woo. Good for you, generous gardener. I gotta say, you're doing whatever you're doing, keep it up, because this is not your vibes, and you're still doing awesome. Gonna help the plant out here. I think what we're gonna do is go the full vibe here. A little Bermuda here, so I'm gonna pull that away. We're gonna prune, we're gonna get back to that in a second, but I'm also gonna put this rose to sleep with y'all if you want, which is gonna mean we're gonna get the rose completely set up for the future too. We'll top dress the soil, we'll prep the whole zone. So let's just do it. Unless I have a technical issue and the phone overheats and the creek don't rise and some other tech gear shit happens, let's just plan on making this rose awesome. Okay. Again, I'm just trying to use my tools wherever I can to pull everything away. And I'll grab you guys here in a second, I think. And then we'll take a look at what we'll do. And I'll hope that you guys have seen some of this activity. And if not, maybe the entire thing has been disconnected. You know, I just don't know. I'm not at that place yet as a performer. Here we go. Pull this out. Over here. Get you guys to see this again, maybe a little easier above, because now you should see those canes where those were at. Thank you, Gimbal. Good job, Gimbal. Let's go. That was a pretty slick gimbal move, people. Everyone returned it to me. Wow. I mean, just expert gimbling even now. pulling out the strawberry. Right. Nice little shade right here. There's like 2 inches of shade. You know what I'm saying? It helps. It's better than no shade. I'm glad I waited to do all the pruning till the latter part. We'd have less shade. I'm just cutting as much as I can here with the blade of this, and then we can get the long handle one too and do both. So just pulling all the little strawberry and everything else. I'm gonna bring this over to the shade for a sec, see how chat's doing. And then we'll get to our next step. I'm feeling pretty good about where we're leaving this with the ground. Let's go back. Next step. Review our work time. Said to a friend of mine yesterday, she's not in the world of plants, but she is in the world of being awesome. And I said to her, I said, if I end up having built one of the greatest gardens in the world, which I'm going to do, and I end up doing it in the southern United States, I expect extra praise. I'm gonna say it now, chat. You're gonna hear me, so you'll mark it down on your calendars. Remember back in June of 22, when Steve was saying, if he builds one of the great gardens in the world and it's in Tennessee, he should get extra praise? Yeah, I should. It's hot as shit here often. The long range forecast here, there's 2 good days and about 12 shitty ones. I do believe we're gonna break the record for most singular days over 90 degrees in the history of the state. Current record, 2019, 95 days. We have already banked 20 of these days. 20. And it is the latter 3rd of June. So we got all of July, all August, all September. Those are 90-day months. We could be looking at the hottest year in the history of the state. So I'm outstandingly looking forward to it. None of that was me being negative about it, quite honestly. Let's fucking go. If it's gonna be hot and we're gonna build a great garden, let's do this shit. Let's stop with this, whatever. It's hot. Fuck yeah, it's hot. It's hot. Let's go. So let's go over here. I wanna grab a water real quick, but I also wanna grab a couple of more tools just to get in there a little bit easier to do this next step of it. I am not great at tying knots. That's gonna be the weakness of this entire demonstration, is the knot tying. It will also be supplemented with zip tying. Let me look for the snake. Oh, no, that's not him. He probably took off already. Ooh, is that it? He shed his skin. Ooh, snake skin. Check this out. I need to move this carefully because if he's over here still, I don't know. I can see his skin. Are you under this cart? Nope. Damn. Oh, he ain't playing. Look at this. Look at this guy. He's a snaky fella. Oh, look at that. I mean, look at that snake skin. Oh, yeah. That's eating a mouse or frog or 7. Good job, Snaky Poo. Single-handedly keeping the vole population down at Natchez Glen. That is why I don't mind them at all. If you ever get into bulbs, like snakes, okay? If you get into the way of really gardening, you should probably start liking snakes. Voles, which are in-ground mice, they live everywhere. There's nowhere they probably don't live through most of North America. They go in the earth during the winter a lot, and then they live off of the roots of your plants. And you just live in your winter life, you know, Santa Claus shows up and, you know, New Year shows up, and the next thing you know, you go out to your garden and there's some things that just look bad all of a sudden and look like they're dying. Well, it's because the voles been eating the roots all winter. That's what they do. And then the plant dies off. People have always been concerned about the wrong V word. Okay? The wrong V word. It's not the moles, it's the voles. The voles are the problem. They end up being major pests in gardens, regardless of the age of your garden. Even sometimes they'll show up and they'll start doing things. So just know that is something that if you see snakes, they are the true deterrent of voles. Now they might be the deterrent of you too, I get it, but they will deter a vole before a dog or a cat or anything else. They go into the actual hole of the vole tunnels, and they grab them, they kill them, and they get them when they're little in particular. So they'll eat those voles. So you should not eat the voles unless you're in the weird mouse eating, sicko. Water acquired. Alexa, my daughter, she was in the kitchen there, gave a shout off camera. You know, she's not living the on-camera life. She don't want to be out here. You know what I'm saying? I'm hoping her dad was nice. You know what I'm saying? Flip incoming. And we're back. So now, let's grab what we're going to do with our pruning. The only other thing we need to do at this stage is make some decisions on which canes are staying and which canes are going. Cane lottery. Put you all down here so you can see just a little bit better maybe. All right. Welcome to roses. What you see here is a generous gardener rose that has grown here at Natchez Glen since 2019 is when I put it in. I did a good job that day. I remember the planting process and everything. It was pretty good. B, don't sting me, okay? That would be rude. Did a pretty solid job. So the plant has done really well. Generous Gardener is a great rose, even here in Tennessee, where not a lot of roses can be great. There's a little bit of dead wood. We can take that down. You can see some of that brown and some of that graying. What I would also point out to you is the fact that there is a cane right, let me get a pointer. I need a pointer. Cobra? Cobra. That one. That's the oldest one on the plant that's still doing good. There's this one here that's a little bit brown. That's going to have to go. This is a small secondary stem that came off of this bigger cane. So I think this whole thing here is going to go. This cane is the most beautiful, young, fresh, giant, awesome cane we have. We really need to make sure we try to keep this and do something with it. We have too many canes. We really only need to go up a climbing, something this big, because there's only one pole. If this was a different scenario, you know, we may need a few canes. We probably only really need about 3 to 4 at the most. 3 would be easier to work with because, well, we don't have that much to work with when it comes to the pole itself. You know, we're not putting this up a trellis, we're putting this up a singular pole. And that's going to give us just a little less volume for these canes to fit onto. And that's the editing decision, is just what's the healthy one, where do we want them to go, how do they have to lean. Quick little comment on the pole itself. The way the poles were done is there's 3 sets of cinder blocks in here. The cinder blocks are just stacked 2 across, 2 across, 2 across, just alternating. And then down at the very base, there's a 18-inch rebar driven into the bottom cinder block set. And then ideally, I set the whole thing with concrete. I've not done that yet. I wanted to face these columns with stone. I am not going to get a chance to do that. That is unrealistic for me. If I ever want to do that in the future, it's here to be done. For now, I just want to focus on the rows, and then we'll just cover these cinder blocks with like wood chip, mulch, all that shit at the very end, and just make it look pretty to the eye. The functionality of it's fine. It's not going anywhere. They've been here for 2 years and they've gone through a lot of wind, so I don't need to think about them that way. The rows is the focus, and we just want to make it beautiful moving forward. We're going to do a couple of cuts down here at the bottom that I can see are pretty easy that we can do together, and I'll walk you through my rationale on it, and then we'll start to get to the hard decision making parts here. There's 2 really nice canes, but I think I see where our choice is going to be, but I'll leave that. It'll be like a little bit of, I don't want to spoil it. It's going to be fun. Pound Town. Yep, I just took that water to Pound Town, y'all. Water didn't stand a chance. Take that, Sprouts water. Gotta stay hydrated, people. If you guys aren't in the hydration club, we are always looking for new members, but you have to have real street cred, okay? We don't just let anybody in the hydration club. You gotta have real cred. Taking that. Taking this, which is actually sort of almost ground level. This is probably the oldest cane that was on the plant that I just cut. I am gonna take this cane. This is a really big cane right here. I'm gonna take it right about here. That cane, I'll show you why I'm gonna take it before I cut, just to show you the thought process. Because that's a nice, healthy looking cane, right? It's really big, large, looks important. But if you just keep using your intuition as a gardener, you can look at it and go, let me look up the cane. Well, let me look up. What's up look like? Well, up starts to look a little fucked. Up starts to look a little weird. We're going all the way this way. We're crossing through 3 beautiful on the come up canes. So this cane crosses this one, puts all of its weight on these, pushes them away from the plant, not forward. And if we really look, and I mean we really look like we're invested in gardening, you see those marks? I don't know if you guys can probably just barely see it. Those marks are also the sign of that cane rubbing, and also very early indicators of some kind of issue of canker. So we see that too. Let's pull back out. Walk around here for a sec. And let's look at the end of that. Well, here's the end of the cane. Well, the end of the cane ain't that great either. Look at this. Marks all along it. Now, some of this is just sun scald, some of this is just damage to the tissue. Right? You guys can see right there. There's a lot of that down the entire cane. Now, the very tippity top of it had flowers just about a week or 2 ago. You can see the hips already setting, right? The hips coming aggressive. Generous Gardener produces really nice hips, by the way. In case you're someone who's in the business of hips, this is a hip. This is essentially the rose seed. It looks very much like an apple because, in fact, they're all sort of apples. And this particular one sets them where it will hold them, and the second flush, even in the fall, will produce very pretty orange colored hips. If you clean them up for like cut flowers, they're actually very nice. I may, in fact, just be saying this for my friend Heidi Feek because, you know, flowers and floral arranging and stuff. But if you are someone that is in that way, I can recommend Generous Gardener for many reasons. It's a good plant, it's very healthy, the flower's beautiful, it does produce hips, it's a pretty clean plant here. So I think it's definitely the best the best climbing rose by David Austin. All the other ones I grew, about 5 or 6 others, they're okay, but this is the one that's consistently good with all of this. So we're gonna take that cane because of all of those reasons, and we're gonna take it all the way back to where we were. So again, just do that same thing. Just rotate. I gotta be honest, Heidi. It's a pretty good rose to be named after, girl. I'm not shying away from that one at all. I'm happy. Now, if you would have named me after Graham Thomas or, one of those other, I would have been like, maybe. Can I do better than that? Yeah, GG I'll go with. Which is what I always call a generous gardener, by the way. Which is what you say in gaming to people at the end, like GG. GG. GGWP. Good game, well played. But I just call generous gardener GG. Good game. Polls. Let's get there. We about to be pole dancing, kids. We're gonna pole dance on stream. It's gonna happen. We all knew it one day. Can that be a sub goal? I mean, it's a little provocative. I get it. Provocative sub goals. Pole dancing on stream. But we could. Let's make that cut. We've been waiting this whole time to make this cut. I mean, this is a momentous moment here. That big cane. It'll be good though, because we got I'll tell you what I'm looking at here in a second. It wasn't involving this cut, but it's our next cut. And that's usually what I am doing. I'm processing the next cut after I make that decision. Decision made. Cutting happening. Done. See, that was easy. Get this growth over here, just get out of the way. Cleaning it up mostly. Make it look all nice and pretty for when the photographers come. Nobody will ever see this. The bottom of this rose will never be seen. But we know it looks good. That's all that matters. All right, let's get that cane out. I'm just gonna push it out the other way and just grab it from the other side. Funny thing, when people work with plants, I'm sure it's like everything in our lives. When we're new to it, we tend to be in it. We're drowning in the newness of it sometimes. And I've always tried to teach young people or anybody I've worked with around plants, just slow down. I mean, that's really the hardest thing to do. For me, oftentimes plants are the only thing that do slow me down, which is why I think I also psychologically have just stuck with this for so long. I do believe gardening to be a thinking activity, but it's a thinking activity with a lot of great doing. So you get to sort of work both parts of your brain, that thinking part where you process and you get to use all of it, but then you also get this great doing moment that kicks in. And that's sort of where we're at right now, is in the doing. So that is really looking pretty good. Let's pull back anything that we haven't already raked out of here and just sort of see where we're at. I'll pull this cane. And the reason why I say slow down is, it's even something as simple as that I've seen people sometimes struggle with. Get up, literally stand up, walk around, stand up, walk around the plant. Don't pull the cane out just the same way we working, because you got a whole area to space that we just cleared. That time we took at the very beginning is so fucking important, because it's what allows us to work more freely now. If you feel like you're under pressure in any kind of sensibility like this, I just don't feel like you make the best decisions in life. And with plants, it's very, very, very similar. I'm gonna pick us up here and I'm just gonna hold y'all while I just go around with these. So now the stage I'm at is just sort of looking up. I'm trying to think towards that future and what canes we may want to keep. But the tip growth here is very unimportant. I had actually already cut this back to there, and I'm debating, I've got brand new growth here. These are flowers coming right here. We have to decide if we want to keep those. We may have some here. We have some here. We have that very old cane, but the cane, this is the one comment I was looking at. It's so old that all of its growth is more at the tippity tops, right? And this is what's happened. it's been shaded down its stem by the weeds and the other canes of itself and everything else. So if you look down this cane, there's not a lot of anything. There are some buds right here that would break if we cut it. So if I cut it right here, like above here, right? Can you guys see that? Hopefully y'all can see it. There's this cool little divot right there. That is actually a potential growth point. So if I cut here, it would have a chance, but it would take some time for that to happen. This growth up here is a bit leggy and reachy. What I'm going to attempt to do is not take the whole thing, but I am going to clean this up some and make it a little bit better for us. Extend these cuts, make them with a little bit more finesse, and deadhead the plant as well to set it up. So I'll be taking all of these old hips off and setting it up. This cane, what I believe we're going to be able to do here, hopefully this works. Yeah, there we go. I think we're going to be able to take this big cane and pull it this way. And go this way with the cane. Do you guys see that, hopefully? We need a camera operator. You guys can see that. That's what I think we're going to be able to do with that cane. Then this cane, which is this new good-looking cane over here, I would pull this way and wrap, and we'd come over here. Then I do have to make a decision because we got two good-looking canes here. We got this one and this one. This one could also just go against the pole, and we could overlap them, or we keep it a little cleaner and tighter. I do think it's going to be a real push to try to train 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 canes up that pole. It's not happening. We're going to have a push with 3 and crowded with 4, but undoable at 5. So we got to make those decisions. So let's look back down at the base again. Base looking. And that's what we're looking at currently. All right. Secateurs down. I'm going to take us over into the shade. I'm going to give us a quick flip. How we doing, chat? You guys hanging in there? How you doing? We outside, inside? How is everybody? I'm going to go sit us in the shade, just keep the temp on the phone down a little bit. We can also go look at our other tools too and see what we think. We may have to get one of them zip ties involved too. So be a nice moment, take us a quick break, reflect on where we're at, and grab some zip ties. Can I share with everybody that I'm sore? Officially sore. Oh yeah. Oh, I think there is a chance. Tell everybody the secrets of Nacho's Glen. I think we're going to be able to get so many flowers here by next year. There's going to be so many flowers here. I was sharing with the same friend that I mentioned who was shocked that I was out here as much as I've been. I said to her recently, she does work with flowers sometimes in a different way. And I said, by and by, I know I don't talk about this, but I have thousands of flowers right now. Like the long border is littered in flowers. I mean, there's pycnanthemum. I'm staring at a steel bee that looks great over there. There's more steel bee over there. There's a ton. I really do love floral design too, by the way. If I haven't ever shared, like, I'm a huge fan of any form of art in general. And I love floral design. I do really get very excited because there are some really talented people doing tremendous work with flowers now. I'm so happy to see it, you know, and the plants they're using are different, and it just feels more unique and artistic and vibrant. And it just doesn't feel like this cookie cutter. These roses were all grown in Colombia, and we're just pretending like they're pretty, and it's sort of basic bitch pretty. I don't know how y'all land, but you know, I don't know. I mean, aren't we sort of past that phase of human existence? I hope we are. You know, sort of that beauty is defined as X only, rigid definition. And like roses and things like that in those places always hit me like that. And it was tough doing the flower farming thing because, you know, people would come here and I knew their definition of what they were doing and how I saw it were so different sometimes. And I'm sure that showed to them, or maybe I just felt it either way. But it can be so much, and like generous gardener is just such a great fucking plant to grow. You know, if you were somebody that was in floral design and you could grow roses, you should be growing generous gardener. It is a rose that even if it just throws out a handful, you know, 3 stems in the spring, 3 stems in the late summer, early fall. We had a spray on generous gardener first spring flush. I mean, there must have been 40 flowers on the one spray. I mean, here you go. I always wanted a bride, and we got very close a couple of times, who would just be like, I'm just going to put a spray of roses in my hand and walk down an aisle with this giant flowing thing of generous gardener. We all got to find that person, by the way. Heidi, you're in charge of this. If anybody's going to find it, it is my friend Heidi Fake. We need to find a bride who we can just provide and grow like 3 generous gardener sprays that are like 6 feet long, which they get to be. And then just have that person walk down the aisle holding generous gardener as the rose spray just trails behind them. Whoever that person is, they're winning wedding flowers. That if you've seen that plant do its thing, they are indeed winning wedding flowers when they do it. That will be the most gorgeous display that maybe anybody's ever had. So, you know, that way of being and shit, I think with floral design and where it is and where it could go, I think is really exciting. And generous gardener, just working around it, and Heidi mentioning like flower foam and those kind of things, it always reminds me of what I think can be done in that world. So, oh yeah, oh, me too, Heidi, so let's all do it together. Chat, you're in, let's go, we're doing it. All right, let's grab our zip ties. I will grab the twine, which is not gonna work, but I will grab it just because, you know, I'll have twine and stuff. Maybe we'll make a hand bouquet or something. We just busted out with hand bouquet in the middle of it. We're like, now we're just doing a hand bouquet. I thought he was supposed to be, I think he's making a hand bouquet. I mean, speaking of, very faint. So these are just little tiny secondaries that are trying to go off. All shout out to Generous Gardener. If you take care of it, it's definitely gonna be a decent plant. And again, that's here. This always varies. Roses are so weird with this, you know, this little, they like it here, but not there. What do you mean there? Like 4 feet from it, they didn't like it. What the hell? How did 4 feet? Let's look at our rose. We're definitely gonna have to do a tie over here first. Then we'll do that one. And we're gonna cut that for sure. I already know what's going. Just making all the edits in my mind, and then we'll do it together. Yep, all right. Gonna put us over here. That's gonna probably be the best angle, I think, for these next cuts. Zoom it down. All right, so as we look at the canes at this ground layer, let's get familiar with this one. This is the one that we're keeping right here. This one's gonna go completely. That one, we wanna bring back. This we may need to prune off as well. It's actually a stem that is coming off of our big one right here. This is coming off of that. So that might be a pruning cut, but our first cut is gonna be to take this out of the way, and then I'm actually gonna bend this backwards towards me, and we are gonna actually zip tie it towards the trellis. So we'll do that together. And then that way you guys can see this all maybe like in one screen, one shot situation. It is getting warm out here, so we do got to be careful with this phone. It's probably gonna, start feeling that way about the whole scene. And we are, literally the screen is dead in the sun. Let's go, Tim Cook. You can do it. We believe in you, Tim. You're doing more than just being the guy after Steve Jobs. Don't listen to your own brain. It's me projecting, I believe, on Tim Cook. Here we go. I'm taking this little knob off. There we go. Let's get that out of the way. Take a little of this cane, which is in the ground. And there's, the tag. Yay. Finally got it. Only took me 3 years. Get that out. This is our good cane. This is our cane we're thinking about. This is the cane we want to try to keep. This stem we're not sure about. This stem we're not sure about. And one of the two of these is probably going. Either this is going to get pruned or that's going to get pruned. We're just not sure which yet. This is definitely going to go. I do not feel good about this one at all. I'm going to take it down here just to give it some chance to regrow next year. If it did, it would give us a little bit of a base push of roses, which you can do. So right here, here, and here, there's a chance of secondary growth. It pushes a little stem just to give us a flowery poo down in the bottom. It's not a real viable cane moving forward, but it is like a little, hey, that's cute. You can do shit like that, by the way. If you really get to know your plants well, you start to work with them in that way where you're like, oh, look, I can make you do this thing. I'm not saying I have dominion over you, but I do understand you well enough to help us do things together as a team. Is that complimentary language? Finishing rake. Small tines. Just getting some shit out of the way so when I go to train this, it's a little bit easier. All right, so now I am gonna take y'all back just a little bit back from where you are so you can see, and hopefully you can see me too. Set this up, maybe right here. A little up in the air. There we go. So now I'm gonna take the zip tie and hope that this is gonna be strong enough, and it probably should be. And this is a bit of a temporary hold, but it might be a permanent hold for a couple of years. They do make really decent quality, high-end rubber. This isn't even gonna be big enough to get around the pole and that cane, so we're gonna have to go jute instead and laugh at my, my knot tying capacity. Sharp object in my pocket? Nope. When we make the cut. Sharp object in my pocket now? Yes. I'm gonna do 2 ties on this. Ideally, jute is not great for this. You wanna use something that is at least going to last more than like 2 months. There's plastics, there's other rope, whatever. There's all kinds of things that you can use, but just know that something like this is not gonna be long for the world. All right. Toughest thing to do, cut the jute? Maybe. There we go. All right, base tie first. I will do 2 ties. This is just to get out of the way for now, and then we can make those decisions. Just pulling it towards me. I'm going to pull it around itself. If you do this with something that stretches, that's why this is better than the jute, because the jute doesn't really stretch, and in fact the tension is what typically will break it, which is what we sort of obviously want to avoid. So I'm just doing it really gently with this. Okay. I'm going to see if I can just do like, a 1, 2, 3 buckle my shoe situation, because that's really about all I know how to make. Is essentially like, tie your shoelaces or a knot. For now, I'd rather do the tie of my shoelaces in case I need to move it. So that's not bad. We got it out of the way. And that's all we were needing to do there. So let's step back. Now we got that portion up. Now we need to probably, because of the size of that cane, do a secondary tie towards the base, just a little bit above that. But the next move that we want to try to make, and this does get into the explaining why we do some of what we do. If you just take a rose and go up the pole, well, what you'll do is you'll end up with the same thing. That's what was already happening. Flowers at the top, nothing at the base. We want to encourage light to get onto the secondary buds. They're actually technically called spurs. It's very true with apples. You'll get things called water spouts in apples. You'll get non-flowering development on roses. The light getting to these as it crosses a pole at an angle will allow growth to come off the cane and produce stems as opposed to a cane. Really what roses are is like small little trees that you want to provoke as much side lateral stems of good quality as you can. And then you get these giant, heavy, flowering things that look like they're just covered in flowers. If you don't do that, you will always get good flower, but you will never get great flower. In fact, there's a side, hopefully y'all maybe at distance can even see this. There's this stem right here in my hand. That's what we're actually going for. We want hundreds of these if we can do it. And if I cut this, for anybody that wants to do cut flowers too, cut this at the base, right above an eye that would produce a stem, you'd end up with, even on something like this, this would be the flower stem that you'd end up with. It wouldn't be your classic, like, 56-inch long stem, but it would be very nice. And this is what Generous Gardener would really be capable of doing in volume if you work with it nicely, is producing dozens and dozens and dozens each spring and then summer, fall of these. The reason we're doing all this today is we're cleaning it up and setting it up just like I would have. If this was in spring and say it was a shrub rose, I would make a lot of the same decisions today that I'm making on the climber. Cut it back, clean it up, and leave it like this. And set it up for the late fall or the late summer, early fall flush that we're talking about at the beginning when we're on Instagram. So this motion that we're going through today is very similar to resetting one. And not being, being brave with your cuts, being brave in what you're doing is huge here. So keep the course. Let me see, maybe make sure everybody's good. Everybody good? We're still on the air? Okay, we're still on the air. Holy shit, I can't even believe it. We're still on the air. This is amazing. I'm saying on the air, I know it's a stream, people. All right, so there we go. We've got that one tie. I think we can move a little bit closer now and get you guys where you can see where we're at. I want to pull this now this way. I want to be able to get the top of this back there. Now that's either going to mean using this to tie it, or it might in fact mean using this to tie it, because it's a little more flexible even. So I think we might be tying this and losing this, because this is a little too rigid. It's going to be too tough to tie all that. So we're not going to take that. We're going to cut that off actually. So the theory being here, if we try to pull this back, well, this is just creating physics issues, pulling this back. But we can get this to go that way. We can do that. And I feel like that's our best bet anyways with this rose, because we have so many canes. It'll take a little bit of the pressure away. This is the hardest cane we're trying to mount to this because of its age and its thickness and its strength. So it's the hardest one anyways. And we got plenty of canes coming. So even if this thing fucks up and this thing dies off, or you don't feel good about the job you did, who cares? You got plenty of ammunition coming behind you. These will all become probably better than this. And that's why I don't really sweat it too much. I'm gonna flip you guys around here so I can actually put you in the shade, I think, underneath Generous Gardener. Again, same thing. So I'm going to take this whole cane top right here, right above there. Angle cut. Try not to have it hit the camera, although it'll be cool. There we go. So that's a way now. Just gives us a little bit more flexibility. Let's grab our jute again. Take this off. This is completely pointless. May even take that off too. There's two little tiny stems on the side that are just gonna prevent us from mounting to the wall easily. So let's take those down too. One, gone. Two, gone. I am leaving a bud there behind each one, if you notice. There's one bud here, there's one bud there. I am allowing that bud to stay because that can produce a stem. It may not, and that just might die back. Either way, I'd rather take that chance and just see that happen. We take this, same thing, right behind a bud. So now we've got that, little dead guy there, little nubby nub gone. And then we've got this, this, and this. This can go right above a bud. There we go. Now we've got all this. So this, we want to get up here. Jute. Boop, boop, boop. If we had the elastic stretchy stuff, that's my favorite. It's a nice cool color of green. It works a little easier. What I always like to do is I just take about 5-6 feet of it and then just cut that and then just work with that 5 or 6 feet. Gonna go up here. I actually want to pull it this way a little more even. I want it to come on this side all the way. Like that is what I'm going for. So I might have to pull this too, like that way. And I have to decide if that's a secondary tie or if I can do that with one. I'm going to try to do that with a second one. Just give me a little more control. I don't want to put both of those canes on there and then decide I don't like it or decide we need to change it. So a little more control helps with just some of this decision making and if you need to make revisions. Here we go. Damn, that's a big cane to be tying with jute, but it's okay. We're gonna make it happen with our non-Boy Scout selves. Anybody do Boy Scout, Girl Scouts? Anybody really good at rope tying? I mean, if you are, there could be a successful career waiting for you in rose tying. Bit of a chill vibe today now. You notice? We got out here, we're doing some stuff. Chill vibes. Get a little more tension here. There we go. Okay, that's decent. So we got that there. That'll hold for a minute, a lot of tension, but we'll bring this back this way as well. Take some of that tension off. So we'll go that way. And I'll go a little bit lower with this one. I'm probably gonna end up taking this off completely. I just don't think we're gonna have enough room for it. And I do wanna keep this base cane. We're a little far away from the pole in reality. Just I didn't do a good job of maintaining that. So the rose is actually sort of grown away. It will grow back too, but for the moment, it's just a little bit in the away way. I can actually move the pole probably if I'm really strong today. Let's see. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, a little better. I mean, I wouldn't typically recommend doing that. You know, I don't know if you want to rearrange your poles after you put them in the ground while you're training a rose. I mean, that's just between you and your roses. But we'll get that set here after these a little bit, I think. We can just remove it a little. But the rose is a little far away. So this big cane is the closest technically I have. And we could do this too. So this is one of the real nice young canes we're gonna bring up. We do have this stem over here. It's so far away from the rose. I am gonna cut it, but I am again gonna leave one bud on here. We're gonna take this as well, because this is going to come that way. And then we're gonna take a third and we're gonna wrap it. We are not gonna be able to get, I think, all 4 of these. But then we're gonna have to take this one, which is really beautiful, and bring it back to the rose also. So we're working with gravity, but we're trying to do it delicately and smartly without, like, you know, feeling bad about what we're doing to the plant. I actually think we're doing good here as opposed to bad, which is probably the psychology for most of us, right? We're like, okay, is this actually helping? Like, and you know, is it helping the plant? Well, no, fuck no. You're not helping the plant, you're helping our eye. I mean, the plant's gonna be fine either with you or without you, silly goose. What we want it to look like is more what we're talking about. Because obviously this rose is fine. I mean, it's grown over here, being completely abused, and it has produced beautiful flowers, super healthy, like more canes than I would have ever guessed a rose like this would make. And it's done all that under adverse conditions. So is it good for the rose? I don't know. Complicated questions. Good for our eyes. I know that. Okay, so this is coming back. That's wrapping. And this one, I don't know about this one. This is our oddball. It's beautiful though. It's got all that new growth. So maybe that, then this low, if we can. We can do that low, this high, and then that 4th one maybe even lower. I think that's maybe what we do. So this one goes up here. This sort of follows. This goes this way, and then the other goes even lower. So essentially we're here, and then this wraps around. Chat, you guys with me? I know it's a lot of talk about rose thoughts. So we end up with something like this. And the canes are very thick. I would have normally liked to even have trained these a little bit younger than this. But it's still gonna produce the best thing for next year. We could be even more aggressive with this and even take things like this all the way down. We could take this way down. We could take that even more down. And we would actually be setting ourselves up for very strong structure. If we want to leave one where we do that and one where we don't, I think is the smartest thing from a content perspective, so y'all can get a view of exactly what I'm dealing with here. So let me take all of this and prune back. So let's get to, you're a little harder to work with. Let's go with maybe this spot here. So I'm gonna take this cane back quite a bit. It's a brand new cane, just pushed out of the ground. I'm gonna take it where we take all of this top right above a bud, and we just took all of that, okay? So we essentially took the top of it, we topped it. There's easily all of this, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 12, 14 potential lateral stems that could produce out of that. So that's the way to look at it. It's what you left, not what you took. What you have, not what you lost. What you lost, who gives a shit about? What you have, okay? This future is where we want to be. In fact, I'm gonna deadhead while we're here. This same cane that we just tied up, it'll get a little less weight on the plant too. And I'm just coming back. I'm going 2 buds back. So we're gonna leave little woody stems all across the plant. And the hope is these would actually produce little flushes maybe in the summer. We'll do that right now. I'll do a couple of these with you guys too in my hand. You'll just get a better feel for it. Just somebody in chat remind me of that on our next break session to show me like maybe where I'm cutting. That might be good for y'all to see visually. So you just feel confident if you ever get a chance to be out here doing a project like this with a big ass, beautiful, generous gardener rose. I feel good about that nickname, Hyde. I feel pretty good, chat. I'm happy with that. Thank you to my beautiful friends at Fire Kid, Heidi and Dylan. I will gladly take the nickname Generous Gardener. I do give away a lot of plants to human beings. There was someone driving by the other day. I literally tried to throw a plug into their window. I was like, I bet I can do it. This is actually new roses, so let's not cut those off. Those are coming. This one stem in the middle, I am gonna just center cut it. I did take this. This is a little trick, by the way. Did take this. This is the very first one to open in the center. I took it. It will give a lot more energy to those new buds that are coming, and because we're setting up the rose today, those should be pretty happy and healthy in about 2 weeks. So we'll get some pretty flowers just by taking this off now in the reset. So we're sacrificing to get something better down the road. Yeah, you're looking pretty good. I'm also looking for thrips, which gives me chills to say. After doing this as the flower farm for a few years, I got very familiar with words that now I'm terrified of, like thrips. Every morning coming out here and being like, how do the thrips look? You don't say like, how do the roses look? You start to go, how do the thrips look? Which really sort of sucks. Why am I growing these? Not to talk about thrips. I thought I was always gardening to talk about like, you know, people and places and cool shit. And then I found myself talking about thrips a lot. So I appreciate y'all supporting me as we're back to gardening as well. Because as cool as it is to talk about thrips, there's a little bit of sign of mosaic on this, which has also caught my eye just for a sec. But I don't think it's mosaic actually. I think it might be herbicidal spray impact. See that little bit of yellowing that's on it? I think that's what that is, because I have sprayed in this area and roses can be a little susceptible. So what you can do is if you ever have that situation, you know, maybe you're somebody who has like a lawn service or something, just take anything right past where it's at. And I'm gonna do it even on these flowering stems because I just don't really care. You know, I'm not looking for just flowers. We're gonna get some on this plant, but I'd rather cut that off and get that problem sorted out. It'll also tell me if the new growth comes out and it's real nice and clean, then it tells me that it was the herbicidal. I have not seen rose mosaic on Generous Gardener yet. There are roses that are susceptible to it. It's a yellow-white pattern on the leaves, typically. And the way I normally see it presented differently than what this is it actually has what I guess you would call a more like pattern to it, rose mosaic, where when it's herbicidal damage, it's very haphazard. The leaves look a little yellow, a little white. There's no uniformity to it at all. That is typically not mosaic. That is typically some kind of herbicide, foliar shit that hit the plant and the plant didn't like it and it's just got an issue because of it. Yeah, I don't see it anywhere else. All the old new growth doesn't have it. All the old growth rather doesn't have it. See, we're low on battery. None of the rest of the plant either, so it's just on that one cane. If it was across the whole plant also, you'd see it across everything. You wouldn't see it as much just localized. So good news on that. Just want to take a second as I noticed it. You know, it's one of those moments you just push your brain through and go, okay. And in my case, I know a lot, so I can put that shit to the side and not worry about it as much. Right, so we've got that trained. We've got this cut now. So this was gonna go here. This was gonna go here and here. So we're gonna go like that still. I want this to go this way now, that to go that way. And this can actually just sort of stay on this side of the pole, I think. So we have 2 roses on that side of the pole and 1 side on this side. Or 2 on this side, 2 on that side to even it, just from a visual standpoint. So let's do that too. So I'll bring this over right now. And then let's get this cane. It's a big piece of action. Once we get this, and let's take a little mini break and we'll get some water. Second water of the day, Hydration Club. And then we'll get a hoe, because sun's out, and we'll hoe a little too. I'm gonna get a TOS. Like, I mean, we already know it's coming. Like, can we all just agree? Steve is somehow gonna end up getting TOS his entire gardening content career simply because of the fact that I use hose. I mean, it's gonna happen. It's just one of those vibes. I have to decide if I wanna train those first too, by the way. These over here that are hanging off, I've decided if I wanna bring those to the pole or literally just leave them where they're at, by the way, which is another solution. Not everything goes right up against the pole. Ideally, this would be further on it, right? If the pole was a little closer or the plant was a little closer, that would be a little more on it. It's too much. I can't bend it. It's just too strong to do that with. So it's about as close as we're gonna get. These would be fine if this was like that and these stems could be left just like this. That is really the look we're going for. In fact, this wouldn't even really be the tying point. I think this would have been, let me see if I can get that. I might, nah. We're at that stage where even if I unloosen this, I just don't know if it's worth it to do it. What we could do is get those other canes on here, on this side, and then just come back to this one real quick. Because this is how it goes. It's just like, what will the plant let you do? Because it don't matter what the hell I want to do right now. On a young plant, I have that option, right? We're paying the penance for being bad parents, really. Little parental advice, right? We missed some moments, okay? We were bad parents. We weren't there for some days. We missed some moments. Well, when you miss moments, like pruning and making sure that you're there and, you know, telling your kids they did a good job and all that, well, guess what? Now it's rigid and the relationship's gotten a little weird and it's a little tense and a little like, I'm not sure. Well, we as the parent fucked up. You know what I'm saying? We're the ones, we were negligent. We were the ones not there for the pruning. We were the ones not there for the day that cane needed to be pulled, or the day that the invasive friend showed up and was toxic in our Rose's face. We're the bad parent today. So we have to do a little of what it will let us. It is traumatized, so we must. Did I just project for the whole rose? Damn it! Fuck. It is true though, also applies to roses. People and roses. Let's go this way. I'm actually gonna do it sideways slightly, if you notice. I'm just gonna bring it right to here. And it still gives us that same option with that bigger cane to loosen this top one and to try to pull it a little closer. Always pull off your leaf sets too. Always feel free to do that. It makes it a little bit easier. You know, those don't really do anything for the plant. And in fact, sometimes what you end up doing, stay. Ow. Ow. I mean, it's always gonna happen. I mean, you're not gonna work around roses and not get cut, people. I mean, that's just a thing. It's that extra piece of twine fucking me up there. Another leaf set I'm just pulling off because it's gonna block the jute. I try not to tie right on where there would be a bud or anything like that. And I also, if I knew how to do better knots, I would do some kind of knot that you could like loosen and stuff. I mean, does that exist? I mean, I'm aware of the existence of the band Slipknot, so I assume there is such a thing as knots that slip. But that's really it. I mean, that is literally, I mean, you guys just, I don't have anything else to say on it. You know, that's my Slipknot knowledge. There is a band called Slipknot, and I assume there is something you can do with rope that allows a knot to slip and for you to do things. Okay, that is not one of those knots, but it is going to become a 1, 2, 3 buckle my shoe rabbit ear situation after something that sort of looked like a knot. There we go. So we've got that cane, at least for now, flexed into here. Then we're gonna go make a decision on that and then pull these others across. Let's go up in the air. 1, 2, 3. Whew, you know what I'm saying? It is, you know, it's just, it is one of these days. It's a little on the warmer side of the equation. It's a little hot. So, where are we at with this? I would actually tell you that, hey, if you felt pretty good with the work you just did with that plant, Generous Gardener, oh damn. When you're outside, just so many things can happen on these live streams. You know, your wireless microphone gets caught on your Cotinus Rutzettler. So a lot of things can happen. We're at a place where really you could just leave the plant and you'd be perfectly fine. We've done a lot of good work helping that plant out in this last hour or so. The question is how much more do we want to do and what's the goal? Well, for us, I think the goal is today, get the plant up off the ground, get a little structure to it, hoe it out, reset that pole probably, and then leave it for a minute. That's really it. If this was a young plant, this job would have been super easy. I mean, the canes are all flexible, you can bend them real easy. This is only a bit of a bitch because of the neglectful parenting for 2 years. And now I'm just paying that price because that cane don't want to work with me, it wants to work against me, going against the grain. So because of that, I gotta be a little patient. And this might be like a 2 times touching the plant this year kind of thing based upon that condition. The roses will change, you know, each one of them. So my job sometimes, which is difficult, is, you know, I'm working with this plant today and now I get called away, you know, we've got all the other gardens going in. I wanted to just clear up this walkway over the next week too. This is a lighter pace project by my standards that keeps me slow, as I mentioned at the very beginning. So it's good work to do on these softer days, but it is very necessary work. This is making me feel pretty good about doing more Generous Gardener, just bringing in all Generous Gardener and doing that on all of the poles. The other thing that I like about Generous Gardener quite a bit in its growth habit, which makes it a pretty good climber as well, is it's always producing a lot of those canes. And the great thing about that is there's gonna be a time where you grow a rose and the cane gets enormous. I mean, it's a tree. And that can be really hard to work with. gets to be very challenging over time. So you want a plant really that is producing a lot of canes, because you may take one of those original old ones out because it's harder to train, maybe it's getting a little too big, a little too hard to work with. So you take it out, but it's still coming with canes. Where there are some roses, the cane you get is the cane you keep. And then everything essentially happens off of that cane. It's sort of like a tree trunk that produces lateral stems. And that's very different to work with. So knowing your rose in that way is really, really advantageous to what you're doing in the garden. So know your rose. Generous gardener, a lot of basal cane growth. So you can be aggressive, you can cut those canes out, you can pick and choose which ones you want. Other roses do not produce as many. Another plant that was a really good climber, I will say, has really good potential. No, that's not true. I could grow it that way, and I should have mentioned this at the beginning. Teasing Georgia is also outstanding as a grower. I would highly recommend Teasing Georgia. Very voluminous plant, did great here. Now again, great here is always relative, but I think that is where we're at. All right, y'all, I think I'm gonna wrap us up here. We've streamed for a while. I think that was a lot of fun. If anybody has any questions, you can always shoot them over on Instagram. If you got roses yourself that you're growing, go post it over on Insta. Give me the DMs. I don't know Discord, I got zip ties. Does that have anything to do with it? I got goggles. I mean, this is a look. This is very, a lot of you don't know this. There was maybe a baseball player back in the 1990s, I think late 80s, early 90s. His name was Chris Sabo. He wore like these big giant glasses with like a baseball cap. Chris Sabo vibes. That is very deep cut reference on my part. Really. Google it. Chris Sabo, S-A-B-O. Google it. You'll see. All right, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. I will see everybody across all social media platforms, as I always do, on and off. I think we're leaving that rose as a pretty good place. Maybe I'll do a little follow-up over on Insta. I'll finish up the rest of the work on it over the next couple hours, and I'll take an after. Well, there was a before on here. I'll screenshot it. I'll figure it out. Guys, have a good rest of your morning, afternoon, whatever the fuck it is.